The US military just spent $33 billion on weapons that can decide who lives and who dies without asking a human first. Sound like science fiction? It's happening right now, and the question isn't whether these machines exist. They already do. The real question is whether we're ready for what comes next. If you wanted to build a killing machine back in the 1940s, you'd need armies of people. Soldiers, commanders, intelligence officers all working together to make split-second decisions about life and death. But fast forward to today and everything has changed. Machines can now track targets, calculate trajectories, and pull the trigger faster than any human could blink. And leading the charge into this new world are countries racing to build autonomous weapons before their enemies do. From AI-powered drones and robot soldiers to missile systems that pick their own targets, we're at the center of a massive shift in how wars are fought. However, with these machines spreading across military bases worldwide, they're up against a brutal reality. When a robot makes a mistake, who takes the blame? And now, with dozens of countries developing their own killer robots, the challenges are only getting fiercer. The birth of military machines. The weapons we're talking about now weren't always so advanced. Back in 2002, armed drones flying combat missions weren't even autonomous. They were just remote-controlled planes with missiles. A human pilot thousands of miles away would watch a screen and decide when to fire. But military engineers thought they could do better. They wanted machines that could make decisions on their own, without waiting for human approval. So they started developing autonomous weapon systems, or as some call them, killer robots. Israel developed the Harpy drone in the 1990s, a flying weapon that could find and destroy radar systems by itself. It would cruise around until it detected enemy radar, then dive straight into it. The machine did it all on its own. But to say everyone was comfortable with this would be a lie. The Geneva Conventions were written when humans made every decision. Nobody had thought about what happens when you let a computer decide who to kill. But the military had bigger ideas. They wanted autonomous systems that could react faster than human soldiers, work without getting tired, and keep American troops out of danger. Build machines that could fight wars without risking human lives. At least, not American ones. The first disasters. Now you'd think that new technology entering the battlefield would just work perfectly, right? Well, the early autonomous weapons had some problems. Big problems. In 2003, during the Iraq War, a Patriot missile system designed to automatically shoot down enemy aircraft made a catastrophic error. It detected a friendly British aircraft, identified it as a threat, and shot it down before anyone could stop it. 2 British airmen died because a machine made the wrong call in a fraction of a second. The system wasn't even fully autonomous. It still had humans involved. But it operated so fast that by the time the human operators realized what was happening, the missiles were already in the air. Trying to stop it would be like trying to catch a bullet with your bare hands. But the military didn't just abandon the technology. They launched investigations, made some tweaks here and there, and kept pushing forward. The Patriot incident was labeled as friendly fire, and everyone moved on. Except the families of those airmen, of course. They quickly pivoted to developing smarter systems, better target recognition, more fail-safes, faster processing. And guess what? Other countries noticed. Russia started developing their own autonomous systems. So did China. South Korea built robot sentries for the DMZ that could detect and shoot intruders automatically. The arms race was officially underway. The ethics nightmare. Early on, these weapons were known for what people called the accountability gap. When a human soldier kills someone in war, we have rules. We have courts-martial. But when a robot kills the wrong person, who do you put on trial? The military argued they were only using these systems in controlled situations, but human rights groups stood by their concerns. Organizations like Human Rights Watch started campaigns to ban autonomous weapons entirely, calling them killer robots. By 2013, the United Nations got involved, trying to figure out if these machines should even be legal. Countries couldn't agree. Some wanted regulations, others wanted bans. A few argued that autonomous systems were more ethical because they wouldn't get angry or seek revenge. That argument seemed reasonable until you thought about it. A human soldier might hesitate before shooting a child. A machine, it just sees patterns and probabilities. The AI revolution. Then came the big leap. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, neural networks, whatever you want to call it. AI changed everything about autonomous weapons. Before AI, these systems followed strict programming. If radar signature matches enemy aircraft, fire missile. Simple logic trees. But modern AI doesn't work like that. It learns from millions of examples and makes decisions based on patterns humans might never even notice. It's powerful, but it's also unpredictable. In 2017, the US military started Project Maven, using AI to analyze drone footage and identify targets. Google employees worked on it until thousands of them signed a petition refusing to build technology for warfare. Google eventually pulled out, but the project continued. Microsoft, Amazon, One and other tech companies stepped in to fill the gap because when the Pentagon offers billion-dollar contracts, someone's always willing to take the money. By 2020, things were accelerating fast. The military was testing AI-powered drones that could hunt in swarms, communicate with each other, and overwhelm enemy defenses through sheer numbers. Each individual drone wasn't particularly smart, but together they could make coordinated decisions that no human controller could manage. China wasn't sitting idle either. They announced plans to deploy AI weapons systems across their military by 2025. Russia claimed they were developing autonomous tanks and submarines. Even smaller countries started getting in on the action, buying weapon systems from manufacturers who weren't too picky about who they sold to. The current battlefield. Fast forward to today, and autonomous weapons aren't some distant future threat. They're already being used. Turkey deployed a drone called the Kargu-2 in Libya in 2020. According to a UN report, this drone hunted down retreating soldiers and attacked them without any human input. It was the first confirmed case of an autonomous weapon making the decision to kill someone entirely on its own. The drone manufacturers celebrated it as a successful field test. Human rights groups called it a war crime. Israel has been using autonomous systems along the Gaza border for years. Robot sentries track movement and can fire automatically if something crosses into restricted zones. The Israeli military says they always have humans making final decisions. But former soldiers have reported that the systems fire so fast that human approval is basically just rubber stamping what the AI already decided. The US military now has thousands of autonomous systems deployed worldwide. Most still require human approval before using lethal force, but that human approval often means a soldier glancing at a screen and hitting confirm in under 2 seconds. Here's the terrifying part. These AI systems make probabilistic guesses. An AI might be 95% confident that a person is an enemy combatant. But what about that 5%? Well, what if that's a farmer, a journalist, a kid? What happens next? So, after all this development, all these billions spent, all these weapons deployed, we're facing a massive question that nobody seems able to answer. How do we control technology that's specifically designed to make decisions faster than humans can intervene? Some countries are pushing for international treaties to ban autonomous weapons entirely. Others are racing to build them as fast as possible, convinced that falling behind means losing the next war before it even starts. The United Nations has been debating regulations for over a decade with almost nothing to show for it. Meanwhile, the technology keeps advancing. Modern AI systems can now recognize faces in crowds, predict movement patterns, and identify threats with accuracy that improves every single day. Military contractors are developing robots that can navigate cities, climb stairs, open doors, and yes, carry weapons. The question isn't whether machines should be allowed to kill. That ship has already sailed. These weapons exist. They're being deployed. They're getting smarter. The real question is what happens when every military has them? What happens when terrorist groups get their hands on them? What happens when someone hacks them and turns them against their own side? And perhaps most importantly, what happens when these machines make the kinds of mistakes that start wars between nuclear powers? And by the time a human realizes what went wrong, the missiles are already in the air.